This feels like a real YouTuber collab. I
I
never do real YouTuber collabs. Great.
But yeah, because you don't have to be in character as the host right now.
Yeah,
you're so chill. You're at 2 buttons undone.
I know, well, you can see my collarbone.
Scandalous. It's not for the kids.
Queer kid stuff. Unbuttoned.
Hi, my name is Jackson Bird, and today I am joined by Lindsay Amer, the creator and host of Queer Kid Stuff. So, Lindsay, for people who are unfamiliar, can you tell us a little bit more about Queer Kid Stuff?
Yeah, so Queer Kid Stuff is my YouTube channel where I make LGBTQ plus educational videos for all ages. So I have a little stuffed teddy bear who's my co-host. We sing songs, we talk about gender and privilege, and lots of really cool stuff.
It's awesome, and I was recently on it. You can watch the episode here. We'll talk more about that at the end of the video. But today, I'm really excited to have you on my channel because you've helped me kind of come up with a new tag that I'm starting that I think we're going to call the Pride Rewind tag. Basically, all of us who are queer or trans or gender nonconforming or whatever have those fun, cute childhood stories where it's kind of in hindsight, wow, how did no one know, right?
Yep.
And because we have so many more traumatic kind of stories from our childhood, I think it's really fun to focus on those fun, cute stories that are actually really happy, especially during Pride time, which is upon us. Yeah, you want to get started with the tag?
Yeah, totally, let's do it.
So for those of you who might want to join in, I'll put all the questions in the description box below. Also, I'll just say that when we're talking about our childhood memories, I'm thinking 12 and under-ish.
Yeah.
Like real childhood, not teenager or anything. So the first part of the tag is just how do you identify, specifically maybe as is relevant to the stories that you're going to tell.
So I use they, them pronouns, and I identify as queer and non-binary.
Awesome. And I use he, him, his pronouns, and I identify as queer, bisexual, and a trans man. So the first story that I want each of us to share is a time in childhood when you did something or said something, and in hindsight, looking back, it was probably super obvious that you were queer or trans or whatever. The adults in your life probably had an inkling at that point.
So when I was a kid, I was super tomboy. I was also super androgynous looking, so people would always misgender me as he, him pronouns.
I always wished for that, but I didn't have short hair, so it was never happening.
Yeah, well, my mom wouldn't let me get a boy's haircut, and so I had slightly awkward bowl cut.
I think I did too. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see pictures because I bet we had the same haircut.
There are pictures. Did they ever do this at your schools where they would do grease and sock hop events?
Oh, we did sock hops? Yeah.
Sock hops. I would always dress up as Danny Zuko or a T-Bird.
That's one of my dream roles, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Or Kaneki. I think Kaneki's a little more realistic for me.
I was gonna say, it's Kaneki is the one. So I went to I'm Jewish, and we went to sleepaway camps. This is the thing you do when you're Jewish and you live in New York and tri-state area.
Yeah, I gotta say, sleepaway camps, summer sleepaway camps, are so much more of a thing in the Northeast.
Yeah, it's
not really a thing
in
the South.
It's a thing. We had a grease dance thing at the sleepaway camp I was at, and I of course dressed up as Danny Zuko, and I looked like a boy. My friends were oh my god, you look like a boy. And we went to the sock hop. My friends and I decided that it would be funny if I tricked a girl into dancing with me. And I very distinctly remember slow dancing with her and being oh my god, what if she kisses me? What if she really thinks I'm a boy? And I flipped out and ran away.
Wow. Did she ever find out?
No, I don't think so.
That's amazing.
I don't think I ever talked to her ever again. I was oh, this is scary.
So at my elementary school, we were very much the school divided us by boys and girls a lot, but we did it ourselves socially. So especially recess. I think we even called it a war. It was the boys versus girls war. And so when you went to recess, you played with the girls or you played with the boys. And I played with the boys. Mm-hmm. One day there was a new kid in 2nd grade, but somehow, even though he was the new kid, everyone just knew oh, this kid's cool, he's the leader of the boys now. Whoa. And I remember having to go up to him and be hey, by the way, I play with the boys, I'm on the boys side. And it wasn't a big deal, and I knew that that's where I belonged, but I also knew that I was different enough that I had to explain it.
Yeah, I would do that too in middle school. They would the boys would play football during lunch, and I would always try and go out and get on the team, and they would never throw it to me, but I didn't know how to play football.
But I distinctly remember several times the girls because they understood their gender socialization, and they would try to get me to play on their side because they knew that's where I belonged, and I would always interpret it in my head as they were flirting with me. Not that, like, that's where I was meant to be and they were trying to put me there, but more just like, oh, they just want me to hang out with them.
Oh my god, I love that. That's so cheeky.
And there was also one time at recess that, like, we were standing in the line to, like, go back inside, and there was a wasp on my shirt or on my head or something, and I was terrified. Like, I was so scared, but there were girls around that I was trying to impress, and so I was just, like, standing totally still, like, face passive, like, yeah, this is no big deal. This is fine. Like, I'm tough. I'm so tough. And just, like, looking back, I'm like, oh my god. Like, I just, like, thought that these girls were into me because I thought I was a boy.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Alright, so the next question is to tell a story about a time in your childhood where you kind of had an inkling. Like, maybe you didn't have the words or the language, but, like, something started getting put together in your head. So do you have a story for that?
Yeah, it's more like a moment than a story.
Yeah.
But I remember very distinctly being in English class in, like, 7th or 8th grade, and I was, like, in this, like, corner of boys. They were just, like, chatting. They were talking about this one girl, and this guy, he was like, oh, yeah, she's really hot. I was like, oh, yeah. And I, like, started nodding along, and they, like, looked at me, and they burst out laughing, and I was like, oh, I guess I, like, wasn't supposed to, like, say that, or, like, agree with them, or, like, what was that? Like, that's weird. And so things kind of kept going, but I was like, oh, that was, like, a weird slip-up that, like, happened.
That is such a weird thing, too, of, like, you were accepted as being, like, one of the boys, but they still knew you were different enough that, like, oh, you shouldn't like girls like they did.
I think they were, like, confused about that moment, too. They were like, what are you, like, doing agreeing with us? Like, you're a girl. Like, what's going on? They, like, had, like, a weird moment of, like, oh, that's funny that you, like, agreed. You're just, like, trying to, like, go along with the group and, like, group think and, like, yeah, nod.
Yeah.
But really, it's like, oh, I'm gay.
So mine, I guess, like we said before, like, I never had, like, a boy's haircut. I never got mistaken for a boy. Like, that definitely didn't happen, except once. I think it was, like, the summer after 4th grade, and my town always had this, like, big street festival that happened, and, like, the first night of it was raining. It was, like, just a downpour, so there was hardly anyone there, and I remember being very excited because I had this, like, yellow and blue windbreaker that I really liked and, like, never really got the chance to wear, but since it was raining, I gotta wear this windbreaker. And so I have, like, the hood up and everything, and my mom is, like, sitting to watch my brother's jazz band, and she gives me a couple dollars to go get us a funnel cake to share. Yes. So I go to the little, like, food truck, I got my hood up, I've got, you know, probably, like, some cargo shorts on and my skate shoes or whatever, and when the guy in the truck hands me the funnel cake, he goes, here you go, young man. And in my head, I was like, wait, young ma'am? Why would he say young before ma'am? Like, this doesn't make sense. And then as it's starting to occur to me, I'm like having this, like, oh my god, he thought I was a boy. This is amazing. I'm gonna wear this jacket every day. Aww. Like, I was so excited. As that happens, I feel this, like, arm come and just, like, jerk me away by my shoulder. My mom had come, and she had heard. And she just sort of, like, hisses in my ear, like, oh, if you dress like a boy, that's gonna happen. People are gonna think you're a boy. And so it was, like, this immediate, like, at first, like, huge, like, gender euphoria, like, oh my god, this, like, felt right, and this was so cool, followed by, oh, I should be ashamed of this. This is not good. We're both around the same age, like, late 20s. Yeah. So when we were growing up, like, there were no kids at our elementary schools who knew anything about being gay.
And I grew up in, like, downtown Manhattan, super liberal, and like I don't think I knew any kids who had, like, queer families. Yeah. Like, it was like something that was, like, chill and okay, but it wasn't something people really talked about.
I don't think I really had any concept of, like, that really being a thing. Like, I remember when gay started being an insult, and all of us had to go home and ask our parents what it meant, and, like, the next day we all conferred, and, like, some parents had, like, actually explained it, and others had said it means happy. And that was, like, 4th grade. We still had no idea that there were, like, same gender romance happening in the world.
Yeah, I had, like, a preschool teacher of mine was gay, but they were, like, the first queer couple I really had any interaction with, and it was, like, very normalized for a long time until I, like, overheard my mom talking to one of them one time after they were babysitting me, and they said something about being, like, the lesbian parents. So, like, hearing, like, them say the word lesbian in this, like, negative way, like, it like clicked in, and I was like, oh, this is like a different family structure.
Yeah. And I can't even think of when I learned. It was probably through Will and Grace. I don't.
Yeah.
Like Will and Grace started in like 4th or 5th grade, and it was my favorite show immediately.
Yeah. No. Well, I love Will and Grace.
Yeah. Well, let's end on a more fun note and
yeah.
talk first queer celebrity crushes.
So I am like super theater dork, and especially when I was a kid, I was like super theater dork. I saw Sutton Foster in Thoroughly Modern Millie when I was like 12 or 13, and I like built a shrine to her in my bedroom. like there was like framed picture, like I sent her a fan mail and she sent me a letter back, and I like put it in that, and there was like tickets to like a talk that she did that I like went to, and I like put the ticket to it in that. It was a little extra, but yeah, Sutton Foster. I didn't even know it was a crush. I was just like obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And then now in hindsight, I'm like, oh, that was a crush. That was a crush.
Being a trans guy, and especially being bi, it's interesting because like I look back on childhood and it's like, well, most of my crushes were on guys because that's what society told me to do and was genuine. But I do know anytime a guy seemed gay or was gay, that usually made me have a crush on him. So like I'm trying to think of some examples of like specific celebrities. I mean, I know I had a weird thing for Nathan Lane.
Oh my god, what? Learning a lot about your type right now.
I wouldn't say Nathan Lane is my type currently. It was more that I was looking for any queer representation out there. Oh, this is maybe how I learned about gay people. My family used to watch The Birdcage all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely it.
That I'm sure that was it because I was like very young and my dad always had The Birdcage playing, which maybe also says something. I don't know. All right, so we are going to tag 4 people. I think that we want to do this: Ash Hardell,
Riley J. Dennis,
Amber's Closet,
and Annie Laney.
So the 4 of you should complete this tag and then tag other 4 people. But also, if you haven't been tagged, feel free to do it. Make your own video or do it down in the comments as well if you want to. That might get a little bit long, but you know what? It's fun. We'll all read it and we'll have a wonderful time reading each other's stories. Like I said, I was on an episode of Queer Kid Stuff recently, which should be up now. We'll link to it in the places. And also, Queer Kid Stuff is currently doing a Kickstarter. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're running a Kickstarter right now to fund our final 2 seasons of Queer Kid Stuff. We're gonna end after season 5, which is bittersweet, but
just like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I know.
R.I.P.
But I really want to make these last 2 seasons incredible, so I need a little bit of cash to help me out to do that.
Cool. Yeah. So we'll have a link to the Kickstarter down in the description box if you want to donate or share it around your networks, because as we were saying about how we didn't know much about queer stuff growing up, it's so important that queer kids do have that education and that representation. So go support Queer Kid Stuff. Also, you can follow Queer Kid Stuff on all the places.
All the places. It's just at Queer Kid Stuff. Yeah, if you want to follow me, I'm Lindsay Amer, at Lindsay Amer.
Awesome. And as always, you can follow me at Jack is Not a Bird on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. And that is it. Thank you so much to Linz for joining me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.